this in the next month. Thanks. Kathy.
Now, few politicians rise to someone like James Ibori. From a humble start as a cashier at a Neasden DIY store, he became a state governor in Nigeria. But for 8 years, he systematically looted and stole to fund a lifestyle of fast cars and luxury properties. Tomorrow he'll be sentenced for fraud and money laundering worth £50 million. The trial was in London, where he deposited his stolen money, often in cash, with no questions asked. So why didn't Britain's high street banks do more to stop him? Our business correspondent Sarah Smith reports.
James Ibori, once a powerful Nigerian politician, now lives in a British jail. It's a long way from the gilded splendour he's used to. Ibori's career began in London, when he worked in the Wicks DIY store in Neasden in 1991. He was convicted of stealing from the till. A few years later, he was the elected governor of the oil-rich Delta state in Nigeria, and he was still stealing, but now it was millions of pounds. He bought luxury cars like this Bentley and properties in London, spending over £2 million on this house in Hampstead. When he was arrested, he was trying to buy a £30 million jet. Tomorrow, he will be sentenced for money laundering and fraud.
The fact that this has happened, I think it stress how internationally significant it is, because this man was a powerful governor of Delta State, and he has now been brought to book, and it shows that no one is untouchable.
This is being hailed as a major victory for the British justice system. A corrupt foreign leader who couldn't be prosecuted in his own country finally brought to justice right here in the UK. But before we start feeling too proud of ourselves, let's take a closer look at the multiple British bank accounts James Ibori used to smuggle those stolen millions out of Nigeria.
Jesus!
Banks like Barclays, where Ibori had at least 6 accounts, as did his sister, his wife and his mistress. Accounts they used to launder millions.
James Ibori was able to bring millions of pounds of his looted funds through British banks to buy British houses to send his children to British schools using a British solicitor. The UK has helped to facilitate his money laundering and his corruption by allowing him to bring his assets into this country.
British banks have to identify politically exposed persons, like foreign politicians, who could be a corruption risk, and identify any suspicious transactions they make.
Yet, somehow, Ibori, a very politically exposed person, was able to move £1.5 million through one of his accounts in the Knightsbridge branch of Barclays Bank. Vast amounts of cash were just handed over the counter. And remember, this is £1.5 million from a man whose published annual salary was just £4,000 a year, and who, according to the Nigerian constitution, wasn't even allowed to hold any bank accounts outside Nigeria. You would think alarm bells would have been ringing inside Barclays, and very loudly. I spoke to Barclays today. They wouldn't discuss Ibori's accounts, but they told me they do have robust anti-money laundering policies in place. A recent report by the Financial Services Authority found there were serious weaknesses in many British banks' safeguards against money laundering. And they said some banks appeared unwilling to turn away or exit very profitable business when there appeared to be an unacceptable risk of handling the proceeds of crime. Ibori isn't the first corrupt political leader to stash his cash in Britain. Billions in stolen funds have washed through our banks. This case shows the courts can take action. The question is whether our banks will do the same. The markets now, and it has been a quieter day after last week's dramas. At the close, the